All right. It is Friday, February 5th. Demonstrating layering coily hair, but most importantly, just working with coily hair for the most part. I'm going to demonstrate a few sections before I actually introduce myself properly. And I'm very happy to answer questions, which I will. I'll actually ask my own questions and answer in case there's crickets. I've pre-cut the model's left side just to save some time. And I'm going to go ahead and begin on the right side, doing exactly the same thing I did on the original side. But really the goal for today isn't so much the beginning part, which is why I took the time to take all this in advance. It's the top part that I wanted to demonstrate. And that's when the fun really begins, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm actually stalling because sometimes we're talking just to like an empty audience. However, I know these videos do get saved. But once we get a good amount of people, I'll like really get into the nitty-gritty and introduce myself. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. It is a beautiful day here in Mexico, where I am. I'm not alone. I have my really good friend Martha with me, who is assisting me today. And she will do a magnificent job, because she's done it before, to answer questions, read comments, and anything that might come through. So here we go. Really, what I'm doing is just taking horizontal sections, slightly diagonal back, and as I take those sections, I'm bringing them out with my fingers, light tension. One of the things that I really love to do is when working with coily hair, I like to use a wider tooth comb because I like to use a little bit looser tension, especially with this type of hair texture. It tends to be very fine and very fragile. So I have a really good amount of tension. However, I'm not stretching the hair out to its limits. I like to just have a nice consistent grip, but still allow for the hair to be kind of like in its natural state. That way I can understand what the hair's reaction is. All right, so I'm just going to give you a quick little observation of what I've done, and then I'm going to continue on to the back. How are we doing, Martha?
I'm very good. People from all over the world.
Cool.
From India, from Uruguay.
All right.
Turkey.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Turkey. All right, everyone. I think it's a good time to start. So, my name is Manny San Martin. I'm an educator for Wella. Most importantly, for this amazing brand, NIOXIN, which a lot of people don't even like take in mind or take in consideration when you want to work with like cool hair, like fashionable hair. It's an amazing brand. I love it. I really do love it. I didn't get into this industry because I wanted to work with like, scalp issues. I got in this industry because I love fashion. I love beautiful hair. NIOXIN actually is a really good complement for my style of work, right? I also work for Sebastian Man, which is our male focused line or short hair focused line. Today, because it's February, Black History Month, one of my favorite months. It's also a great month just to like kind of get January out of the way and just, all right, let's take this year serious now. But working with coily hair is something, and I'm going to be honest with you, is not something that I did growing up. Like growing up, my heritage or my life consisted of people that were pretty much just like me, looked like me, dressed like me, talked like me. There wasn't a lot of varieties, right? So when I got out of my neighborhood, when I got into, the LA scene, Los Angeles, went to hair school, I had encountered a ton of variety with ethnicities, just cultures, languages. And I got my feet wet, or my hands wet, with different types of hair textures. And what I realized is hair really doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have an ethnicity. Hair is like pasta, right? Pasta comes in so many different varieties. It comes in curly, right? Bow tie. It comes straight. But really, pasta's made out of the same ingredients, which is basically like semolina flour, right? It kind of cooks the same, and realistically, it may change depending on the density of the pasta. It might change the cooking time, which is important to take in consideration maybe when you're coloring or tinting different types of hair textures. But what I really started to understand about coily hair is that you want to treat it with a little bit more delicacy. Kind of like dry clean only fabrics, right? You don't want to be as rough, because if I start combing through this with an aggressive fine tooth comb, it's very fragile hair and it might tear easily. That's where NIOXIN comes in, right? So we really try to focus on like 3Ds. This is why it's 3D styling. Density, the diameter, and the derma, which is the skin or the scalp. In this case, there is no thinning issues. It's more the diameter. It's really fine, very skinny strands of hair, although there are many strands of hair within the head, but I'm treating it very delicate, okay? So although we are layering in the initial part, what I'm doing is I'm gonna create a little bit of a platform for the layers to sit on. And I've done a pre-cut for presentation purposes, which I will demonstrate. It's not refined yet. This is what's gonna happen at the end. So if you stick around, I will demonstrate how I would finish this haircut, okay? Now, someone that has curly hair naturally, I don't know if you could tell, I understand that curly hair doesn't lay the same as straight hair. The hair has a different gravitational pull, right? So when I work with curly hair, I keep in mind that it may expand, it may not lay flat, it may become bigger, right? So in that situation, I have to almost take in consideration, like, what are all the different scenarios? What if the person wants to wear their hair straight one day? What if they just want to wear it curly? What is it going to look like in both situations, right? So that's why I'm still working very technical. I'm not going in there like I've seen a lot of people working with curly hair and they're just kind of freehanding it. Great, but what is it going to look like when the hair is straight and smooth, ironed, right? So that's why it's important to be able to still approach it in a very technical way. However, it can still be fun and expanded. All right. Once again, if you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer these questions. We have Martha here behind the scenes who's doing an amazing job and has done so in the past.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, so a couple things I wanted to add. One of them was I love working with curly hair and coily hair with a wider tooth comb for the reasons of it having a little bit less tension when combing through. Second, I don't rinse out the conditioner completely. So after I cleanse the hair very, very thoroughly with NIOXIN System Kit 1, I then allow for the treatment to sit in for a little bit. I do rinse it because I don't want it to be completely weighed down, or like, not that it would be, but I don't want it to be too slippery, especially with this hair being finer. But I leave a little bit in the hair still, so then I work with it. It's still very malleable, very conditioning to the hair. Naturally, the hair texture tends to be a little bit on the drier side, right? So straight hair will reflect sunlight, and sunlight is absorbed by curly hair. It really just takes it all in. That's why it tends to be a little bit on the drier side.
Manny,
Yes.
some people miss the name of the product you just showed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This one is the thickening gel, which I'm going to go back to my childhood. When I was a kid, whoever had curly hair and they used gel, it was like this rock hard, like top ramen. So I always thought like, ooh, gel, like, ooh. However, there's different types of gel. There's gels that are very affordable, very inexpensive, that tend to be very alcohol based and quickly will then dry and like freeze the hair in midair, right? Our thickening gel, our Pro Thick technology, it does create a little bit more strength to the hair. However, it's still very soft and brushable, or you can run your fingers through it. Not only that, but you can then combine that with either our definition cream, our rejuvenating elixir, even our bodifying foam. And what it does is it creates a nice memory to the hair, but it's still soft. I think that gel is probably the most underrated product out there. And we forget that gel is a really good option, right? So great question. And I'm glad you brought it up because I may have just completely went on with my life without even mentioning that. So
many people are saying hi from many parts of the world.
Hello.
From Brazil, from Turkey, from
nice.
India. And some said, that you're cool.
What I'm going to create this drop, which later I'm going to work the fringe. So it's going to be this really cool shape. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a minute and show you my inspiration behind it. So I'm a big fan of curly texture. So here you could see some of the ideas behind today's look. I believe that African queens, black ladies, black women really do have an amazing advantage because not only do they have amazing hair texture naturally, but you also have the ability to wear it and wear it with pride. And that's amazing. If you choose to want to wear it a little bit curlier, maybe use a relaxer, that is an option that not everyone has, right? So it is just very much of an advantage, I believe, to be able to do that. So that's just something I wanted to share with all of you. And really, when I see shapes in hair, I see them better when the hair is curly, coily, expanded form. To me, that's just hair cutting in its like ideal state. A lot of times when hair is straight, although it is very beautiful and it's nice to appreciate healthy, long, flawless hair, I'm a big fan and I'm attracted to shapes, right? Which is what I want to demonstrate today.
Allison Beauty asks, are you cutting the hair dry?
Oh, no. Allison Beauty, thanks for the question. That's a really good question. Sometimes it does appear to be dry because, like I said, this type of hair texture tends to be a little bit on the drier side, so it's very absorbing of moisture. But I did shampoo or cleanse the hair previously, lightly conditioned. Didn't rinse out the conditioner completely because I still have some of it in there, and that's allowing me to work through the hair without a lot of tangles and reducing breakage. And I'm misting it down with a little bit of my water, and I still want to work through the hair in wet, and I'm going to transition it to dry. So here I'm actually just about 90 degrees, so I'm right around the border. Funny I say that because I'm in Tijuana, but I'm at the border between layering and graduation. And what I'm trying to do is still create a little bit of a buildup. I'm trying to create that expansion so that the layers can sit on top of that. And if you notice here, I don't think I did a very good job of explaining what my sectioning is. I apologize. You can see I don't have a beautiful straight line anywhere throughout this division point. I've separated the top in a zigzag or a star type shape. And the reason for that is I like inconsistencies. I like nature because nature has a really good way of creating beautiful shapes, objects, light, without anything being absolutely perfect, right? So the inconsistencies or the lack of perfection in this case is going to give me a more natural fall, right? So you're going to have areas that have, more weight here, higher weight in other areas, and what that's going to do is just going to create a more natural fall, and nothing super structural. I believe that textured hair, coily hair, should fall very lightly and flowy. Otherwise, it might be a little too block-like, right? So yes.
Somebody asked, would you consider this a diva cut?
Absolutely. But you have to have a diva personality to pull it off, right? Sometimes people can be a little intimidated because it's that type of hair and that haircut that demands a lot of attention. It's an attention-grabbing look. So if you have that personality, and I know you do, that will come along with it, wear it and wear it with pride because it is a beautiful look. Okay. Here we go. And I'm not rushing because I have a lot of confidence that we will get through this haircut, and I have the pre-done one that I'm looking forward to it. A lot of times what I've noticed in these lives is that we're so limited with time that we just kind of rush through it, and there's no closure at the end, and I don't like that. I like to see the end result. I know you all want to see the end result, and we will see the end result. Okay. So I'm just about finishing off this bottom portion, and it's when I get to the top that is when the magic really occurs. It's a trick that I feel like you will benefit from, and I think personally it'll make a huge difference when it comes to your approach when working with coily hair, or even like just curlier, wavier hair. Because I think it really loosens the texture of the hair up without going in there with like thinning scissors or razors. It's a good way to create texture technically. Okay. Here's my guideline. So I basically started in the front and I worked all the way around this way. You could see that graduation, the very subtle graduation. It's kind of like a mix between graduation and layers. The layering will happen shortly. All right.
Well, Sungare, she asked if you have any advice for repairing curly hair.
Sungara, that's an amazing question. Repairing curly hair, textured hair, coily hair is something that unfortunately occurs a lot because sometimes either by chemical relaxers, harsh chemicals, a lot of heat tools, right, trying to stretch and control that wave. We have amazing treatments with NIOXIN, a really good haircut. Definitely, because once those frayed ends have received damage beyond repair, I feel like no matter what treatments you give it or you apply, it's almost irreversible. So I think to sever those ends that are compromised would probably be the best way to begin the healing process or the rehabilitation process. And if you're in Canada, it's process. Sangari, I'm going to go ahead and say what's the best preventative approach. And NIOXIN is heavy on preventative care to reduce breakage, to reduce thinning ahead of time. So instead of trying to maybe like repair, how can we prevent, right? We can prevent it by embracing natural textures because it is what nature gave you, and it's your advantage. It's like your secret power, right? We all want what we don't have. Some of us have really straight hair, really fine hair, and what do we want? We want beautiful, big, like attention-grabbing hair, right? So let's be proud of what nature gave us and let's celebrate it. Another one is don't overdo it with aggressive brushing or aggressive combing. Also, finer hair like this type of hair texture is susceptible to more damage through chemical changes such as lightening, right? Like any lightening procedure. Coarser hair texture can be a lot more resistant and it can take on a lot more. This fine dry clean only garment is going to be a lot more susceptible to damage. That's irreversible. So even if I didn't answer your question completely, because there's no one way to repair, there's many different ways, I'm going to say let's focus on preventing damage. So here we go.
Well, Eslyn says, nice way of explaining it.
Well, thank you. Is it Evelyn?
It's Eslyn.
Eslyn. Thank you, Eslyn. So here we go. Now, normally, because it's Foundational Fridays, it's usually Stephen Moody that does this, right, on Fridays. And this time, it was the opportunity for myself to do it, which is an honor because I know Stephen Moody and I know he's a force to be reckoned with. Let me do a Stephen Moody classic right here. Anyways, having the Stephen Moody scissors. Not only is Stephen Moody a force to be reckoned with, but he's like, lately I feel, the past couple years, he's been kind of like the go-to guy with coily hair. So not only am I taking his slot here in Foundational Fridays, but I'm taking a slot for coily hair. All right, here we go. The moment I've been waiting for. I'm going to go ahead and separate this top part now. I'm going to spin my model around so you get a better look. How's everything looking so far? Let me know if you like it.
Yeah,
Hearts.
people are loving it, and they say, I never knew that NIOXIN products worked well with curly coil.
NIOXIN.
I'm sorry?
NIOXIN,
yeah. I'm sorry. I work for Cosmo Pro and never learned this very important tip. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And I find so much joy and satisfaction kind of like informing people about it because they're like, wow, like I had never even thought about it. I just walked past those shelves. I used to walk past those shelves all the time, be like, it looks like it's for bald people. No, it's not. It's for people that don't have concerns about making their reds redder or, canceling out the brassiness in their blondes. They're just trying to hold on to what they have for dear life. And people, like I said, gentlemen, women with fine, coily hair naturally is a great candidate for NIOXIN. Why? Because it's fine, it's fragile. After a certain length, it doesn't really grow past a certain point, so it needs to be strengthened and fortified. That's exactly what NIOXIN does. It takes care of the scalp for dryness, right? Okay, here we go. I can talk on, and I will, but you're gonna have to catch my attention. So here we go. This is where the fun really begins. Below, I have my guideline, and I could just leave this alone, right? I feel like I can just let it air dry and maybe freehand it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take the underneath, and I'm going to take some of the above. Somebody's trying to steal a car outside. Just kidding. I'm going to have the guide, which is right here, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my fingers about a finger's distance further away from the guide. I'm going to elevate a little bit around 90, maybe just a little bit above, and I'm going to cut, okay? What that does is it creates a little bit of a disconnection between the bottom and the top, okay? So it's going to create like a step. However, it won't be seen as a step because the curls will just get lost in the sauce. So I'm going to do that all throughout the top. And if I have more length, I'm going to do that one more time. So it's going to be like the underneath, the section above it, and then the section above that. All right? Kind of like a reverse staircase. So there's my guide. I'm just going to slide my fingers out, elevate just a little bit more, and I'm going to cut past the guide. And when that falls, it's going to fall lighter, and kind of flowier. Instead of it becoming this huge block, there's going to be movement in it without having to go in there and point cut, because point cutting is great when the hair's straight. When the hair isn't straight, you have to figure out, like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go in there with the razor? Razors, curly hair, coily hair, finer hair. If you're a Sebastian artist, maybe. I'm not a Sebastian artist, I'm a Seb-Man artist, and we use principles of design with NIOXIN as well, so we're trying to like create structure in the hair, okay? Oh, by the way, the colors, these placement of colors, as well as my presentation model later. Magma, amazing product. Not only does it lighten hair, but it deposits at the same time. Really cool. You don't want to do too many processes on finer hair because you want to maintain the integrity of the hair at all times. So I find for lightening purposes, Magma is a really good option. All right. So here we go. I'm going to find the guide above it. I'm going to pull this hair a little bit higher with elevation, and I'm just going to reduce that right in there. Okay.
Electric Waves says, this is giving me Whitney Houston vibes.
Yeah. Name your favorite Whitney Houston song.
Mm-hmm.
I Have Nothing. Yeah. Probably the best song ever written and ever performed. Yeah, sang. Amazing song. So all this is really just going to hang over this underneath, and it's going to, as it dries, it's going to then begin to not build, but start to lighten the hair internally. So that's why it's layering. But if I would have done this from the very beginning, I felt like it would have just been very floppy, right? Like a floppy disk, which nobody knows what that is anymore. So I feel like this is a really good option. And I'm going to stand here, cut outside of my fingers. Maybe this will be a better view. There's my guide right in there. I'm going to just let my fingers slide out just a little bit and allow that hair to just fall a little bit longer, okay?
Yeah, Madison asked, does the razor leave a weird effect on curly hair?
It depends on the person using the razor, Madison. That's a great question. Does a razor leave a weird effect on curly hair? It depends. It depends. There's people that are amazing hair cutters with razors and without razors, with scissors, any tool. For finer hair, curly hair, the reason I say maybe not use a razor in this situation is because of the amount of density. It's fine. So a razor can be a little aggressive, right? So we want to create structure. We want to create that like long-term kind of like structure within the hair for the grow out phase that'll be still within there. I think a razor is a great option for people like myself that has just like boatloads of hair, and you can afford to remove a good amount, and it's going to only make my hair feel lighter, which is going to make it very practical for me. But for the people that are on the other side of the spectrum that maybe have very few hair to risk, I would go with something a little bit more like a shear, a scissor, however way you want to call it, and that's going to give you a lot more structure. Okay, but great question, Madison.
Somebody is curious about the doll head. Which one are you using?
Yeah, that's a great question. What's her name? This is Amber. This is an Amber doll head, which she has natural coily hair. It is a pivot point mannequin head, which reminds me, our Beauty and Vision Awards has just kicked off for entries. I believe that was January 15th. And you can enter by uploading a photo of your best work via Instagram, hashtag Beauty and Vision Awards, or BEA. And I will actually play, I'll show you a little slide, but you can either use a live model, which is always better. We would prefer that, as in Wella. But if you need a mannequin, Pivot Point and WellaEducation have partnered up to get a 20% off. So if you wanted to try something with an Amber doll head or any doll head that Pivot Point creates, you can actually acquire one for 20% off their original retail price, which I will actually go over later. Okay, for now, focus on this. Now I'm going to actually come in and work the fringe area. I'm going to make this really Whitney Houston. All right, and there's no guide here, so I have to actually create one. So there's the bottom. Here's the guide underneath. Okay, I'm going to slide my fingers just a little further out, and I'm going to not connect it to that, but still follow the same silhouette. Okay, I'm going to not elevate so low on the front because I don't want it to be too heavy. Okay, so right about 90 degrees from the front. Here we go. And I'm just working very, very round. Okay, spaceship vibes. Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and I do think, in my humble opinion, that the color really is going to frame that kind of like a little bit of a ring of light. Ring light. There we go. So, section numero dos. By the way, yeah, we speak multiple languages here. So if you have a question and you live somewhere in the world where maybe you want to ask more confidently in whatever your language might be, welcome. I am happy to answer.
Well, regarding Whitney Houston songs, I Will Always Love You, obviously.
Yeah.
Queen of the Night.
I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Greatest Love of All.
Yeah, but I Have Nothing.
Uh-huh. I Will Love You Forever.
Yeah, I think that the Bodyguard soundtrack was like...
The best.
Yeah. I didn't really like Kevin Costner before, but he was good in that one. Here we go. So here you can see the shape starting to really take place. I think now it's going to turn into a little Tina Turner vibe. Speaking of Tina Turner, let me turn her this way so you can see the change in elevation. Here you go. Now, if you wanted to, if you felt like this hair would become a little bit, let me slide out, would become a little bit difficult to work with as the hair begins to dry, you can continue to mist it down with water, or if you have the bodifying foam, maybe a little bit of definition cream, go for it. You can actually utilize those as well. Even if you have the NIOXIN Diamax or the Diamax Advance, I would actually work that product in as you're cutting so that it's absorbing with, as you're cutting, you're working that product in and the hair is absorbing as much as it can before it begins the drying process. Okay, working around. Let me know if you're liking this. Let me know if you're enjoying the approach. Once again, if you're just joining us, this is layering coily hair. And I am doing a combination of graduation underneath, which is totally cool. Like, just because I said layering doesn't mean I have to layer every single thing. I'm layering, but I've graduated the underneath just to demonstrate a little bit more of a platform for the layers to sit on or to rest on. And that effect that it gives the hair. It's going to give it expansion from underneath and softness and movement from above. All right? So as I work this area through, and you can work a side part, you can work a center part, whatever your cute little heart desires. I'm actually just going to stay with the side part. I really like it. Okay. So here you can see the remaining bits. Probably the good thing to do here would be to allow the hair to just do what it wants to do, so that you don't force the hair to go somewhere it really doesn't want to. So cut it where it lives. All right. Which is kind of what we've been doing since we've been having to stay at home. Just cut it where it lives, or where we live. I'm not in my studio right now, so I don't live here. And now what I'm doing is I'm actually going to use higher elevation. So I'm going to switch from the inside of my fingers to the outside of my fingers, so I can have a little bit more of a comfortable grip on this hair. All right, slide those fingers, and then you can see the underneath is not on my fingers anymore, so it's slipping right out. And I'm still working that shape in there.
Somebody's asking for your Instagram
phone
account?
number?
Instagram account, if you want to share.
Yeah, my Instagram account is, I believe you could actually make a comment there too.
I made it, but
Yeah.
I just got lost.
Just got blocked.
Lost.
It's the letter E, San Martin _ that's my professional account. My personal one is Dance Wizard 69. Just kidding. Why not have fun, right? This is, sometimes we take things a little serious, and it's like, bro, cutting hair, like, chill out. Anyways, here we go. Working this over. Let me show you my little bracelet here that my daughter made. There we go. Gotta show the goods. So there's the guy underneath. I'm just gonna work just past that guy. Okay. So we got that nice fullness coming in from the bottom, softness, movement without having to go in there later and use thinning scissors or different types of texturizing techniques. It could all be included or built in the technical approach. And if you wanted to begin this technique that I'm utilizing a little sooner, like a little lower, dude, all the better. That's why this is we're just sharing information really. This isn't like a specific haircut that you must follow. It's not like a recipe. I'm just sharing information and I'm sharing an idea or an approach, okay? You are all really talented people and you're really good at what you do. So I trust that you would know when and when not to use this and how to improve on it, right? So your take on it. So here we go. Missed the spot right here. So there's my guide underneath. I'm going to just slide those fingers out and I'm just going to work a little longer. What time is it? Oh, we got plenty of time. There we go. So once again, with NIOXIN, which I'm about to apply a really generous amount of bodifying foam as well as our gel, I think it is a very intelligent option when it comes to working with coily hair, natural curly hair, because what is it? It's fragile hair. It's skinny strands of hair. So diameter wise, it is a very on the weaker side, okay? So what does NIOXIN do? It helps to reduce breakage. It helps to strengthen the hair. With our system kits, which is our core business, right there, it helps to nurture the hair from follicle, right, to its catagen phase. I sound really smart when I say that. Might have to say it a couple more times. Yeah, so it's trying to prevent the hair from, not surviving. It's like we're allowing it to not only have a fighting chance, but once it's out there, it's like, yeah, like, do it, color it, blow dry it, see if I care,
Michael says the color complements the cut so well.
Oh, thank you. One of our team members here at my studio, Jennifer, she did all the color work. I love color. I love to apply color. I love to formulate. I just don't do it as much. I'm more of a haircutting type of person. But once again, thank you. And which Michael was that?
Michael, let me see.
Here is the thickening gel with Pro-Thick technology. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a good amount of gel combined with either a leave-in treatment, definition cream, rejuvenating elixir. And if you wanted to, like if you really wanted to take this a step further and do these, just had a class on this, where you take the comb, right, and you spin it and you do these twist curls and then set it throughout the entire thing. Might be a little time consuming, but at the end, it just looks so beautiful, right? You could actually do it in your fingers if you'd like to, right? Let it air dry, have her sit under a hood dryer, use a diffuser if you would like. And that's probably one of the things that's my biggest challenge. And I'm not like Mr. Know-It-All. I love to cut hair. I love to talk about hair cutting. But see, I'm not a woman and I'm not a black queen, right? So how do you want to wear your hair? Let me know, like, what is this acceptable? Do you embrace your natural curls? Do you embrace your texture? Or do you prefer to have it a little bit less expanded? Do you prefer for it to be smoother, not as wide, right? What type of tools do you recommend? Let me know, because I'm learning just as much as you are, I can cut it, but like, all right, now how do we wear it? What are the different methods that that you recommend? So before I take her away, I'm just going to spin her around so you can see the options. And then I'm going to go from this to my second model, which is the same exact haircut, different color. And I'm going to finish it. Okay. See you later, Whitney. How are we doing, Martha?
Very good. They were asking about how is it spelled NIOXIN, and I just wrote it there.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
NIOXIN.
Nice.
Okay. So now that the hair has been dried and basically controlled, here we have a very similar, almost exactly the same haircut. What you don't need a comb anymore, unless it's a really wide tooth comb. Now this is where my taste level comes in. Your taste level is not the same as my taste level, right? That's why it's in such an individual thing. So as the hair dries, you can refine this and finish it however way you would like, right? Mm-hmm. But now that it's dry, I'm going to show you how I would like to refine it. I'm still a hair cutter, and I really love precision haircutting. I'm a big fan of shapes. I'm a big fan of the 80s. If you know me and you've worked with me or attended any one of my presentations in the past when we used to do those, I feel like a lot of my work represents that era, especially when it comes to music selection. So to me, I celebrate big hair. I celebrate big shapes because it's so cool, and like it's something that you don't see every day. It excites me. It really does. Part of the reason why I wanted to be a hairdresser was because I wasn't really good at, office work. And I don't like the people that work in offices that much. Like, they're not as fashionable. Like, they might be great people, but they're not as exciting to look at, right? I like musicians. I like rock stars. I like cool hair. I like colors. I like bright colors. I don't like power suits, So when I have the option to then create with my hands, what do? I tend to go for the exciting hair. That's just my nature. That's why I got booked today, like you want to see something a little bit more reserved, a little bit more conservative. Hey, maybe check out somebody else that works with that type of hair texture or that finishes hair like that.
No, people agreeing with you, loving the 80s, and they say that they totally agree.
Yeah. And
somebody's asking about the color.
Yes.
Were they Wella products?
Absolutely. So it was Magma, which I can actually go get in a second. Magma is our lightener that also deposits at the same time. And it comes in, I believe, in 6 different tones. So we have your reds, which is very similar to like our Wella Custom Perfect. It is the tonal chart. So if you have a stroke 6, it's like a red violet, like a stroke 07 plus, it's going to be like natural, like light brown, blonde. So it's very similar. If you're familiar with Wella, Magma is awesome because it's kind of like Custom Perfect and Blondor had a baby, right? And it does all that at the same time. So here, I'm getting there. Very flash dance, right? Mm-hmm. I did.
Mina is asking, obviously, you're going to save this live, right? Because she missed part of the cut.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Mina. Thank you for asking. And yes, absolutely. Unless something goes horribly bad and I accidentally slip and I don't hit the right button at the right time, this video should be stored and it will be part of the IGTV on WellaEducation. And that is probably a for sure thing. It's in the bag. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here you can see how this now is changing, but it's because I chose to change it. It's the approach that I am taking. Now, what approach do you want to take? I don't know. It's up to you. Show us. Tag me, San Martin _ if you would like to, or you could tag WellaEducation. And when you do that, why don't you might as well just, try to enter the Beauty and Vision Awards. Why not? I mean, you're already there. Here we go. Now, if you think this is time consuming, wow, you can very easily grab something like this, right? And just do it that way. If you feel like it's not as technical, well, it's completely visual with the scissors anyways, right? At this point, the technical part was done when the hair was still wet. What I'm doing now is, this is like, before I went to hair school and I wanted to do hair, I thought, oh, it's going to be like art, it's going to be like sculpture, it's going to be like design. And then Tracy, who was my educator at Sassoon, she was like, it's geometry, it's like, movement. Well, now it's like, yeah, it is sculpture. So that's something that's super cool when the hair is this texture, right? Super coily, is that gravity doesn't pull it down like straight hair. Now you don't need to like lift the hair. Elevation is being taken care of naturally. So at this point, it's completely visual and it's sculpting. And it's everything you want hair to be or hair cutting to be, and it's simplified. Yeah. And it's so much fun. It's like, it can go in so many different directions, right? Let me take a step back, because I think that's, as a presenter, something I don't do, is I don't take a step back as much. But yeah, it's looking, I like it.
Yeah.
If I'm liking it, I hope you're liking it as well.
Yeah, some said that when you asked about their taste, some said that they don't like too defined. Others, they agree very defined.
Absolutely.
So it's a matter of taste.
Yeah, and I'm the first one to accept and acknowledge that there's no right way to cut hair. There's no wrong way to cut hair. It's whatever way what works for you. And also, most importantly, I think, works for the individual that you're cutting on, right? Because if you're a hairdresser that you've been doing hair for years and you pay your bills and you support your family and you go on vacations, whatever way you're doing it, that's the way that's working. So keep it up. All I'm doing is just sharing information here on a Friday, Foundational Friday, right? I'm actually going to go back to this other spot because I'm left-handed.
Can you repeat the brand of the scissors again?
Sure.
And the size, please?
Oh, yes. So here we have a Mitsutani scissor. I'm left-handed. It's a Mitsutani 5.5 Stephen Moody. And these are Japanese scissors made of nano powder metal. They're right there. Okay.
Nice.
They work amazingly. I probably will always forever have these scissors. Okay. All right, I'm gonna speed it up. I'm very much grateful for this opportunity to not only to talk in front of a camera and take over the WellaEducation account, which is huge, has a huge amount of followers, right? But just grateful for the opportunity to cut hair, especially during the recent, events with the lack of liberty to work in California, the closures, all that stuff. Not only is it a pleasure for me to do what I do, which is cutting hair, and to teach it, but to do it for all of you on behalf of WellaEducation. It is it's truly an honor. Thank you so much for everyone who put in my name in the books. Christina, Rochelle, Michael Long, Carol, of course.
Jordan says, this cut is a bomb and so important. Thank you all for showcasing and educating us on this texture.
Oh, Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jordan. Very nice words. I appreciate it. Of course, everyone comes in here. I'm saying everyone because I think everyone, but a lot of us, even though we're professionals and we educate and we present many, many times, there's always that fear. And if you don't have that fear, I think you're either Stephen Moody or you're just not human. But you still have that fear of like, I hope it works out. I hope it, people like it. How many people watching right now currently?
102 people.
102 people. That's a really high number, and that's 102 opinions. You know what I mean? Not to mention the number of people that will watch it later when it is on IGTV, and it will continue to be there if you want to watch it. So you just don't know whose eyes this will reach, and that is a lot of pressure because there's different taste levels. Like I said, there's different opinions. So this is just my humble presentation on behalf of NIOXIN, on behalf of WellaEducation, and on behalf of all coily haired black queens, afro hair texture that is looking for a different option, right? Okay, so I'm gonna really take this to another level here and just give it a nice, stronger, defined hairline. I feel like I prepared. I feel that this was plenty of time in advance for me to do something. I was informed that the hair should have been pre-tinted, pre-colored for today's presentation. And that just really reminded me how important it is to be a presenter and to be ready, to be show ready, It's not just get in there, cut some hair, it's a matter of professionalism. So it makes a huge difference, especially like just showing up early and getting this, everything sorted out. I feel like you just work more efficiently. Okay. There we go, Stephen Moody again.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you wanted to, like, show like that, I feel like there's just so many different options. And that's the cool thing about hair texture like this is that it's a matter of like, how do you want to wear it? There's so many options. If you wanted to blow dry this hair straight, if you wanted to crimp this hair, if you wanted to set the hair, if you wanted to wrap the hair and leave it overnight with a nice, beautiful head cover, like a scarf or something, like, I'm so curious to see what that would look like now. So
Cocolicious is asking.
Cocolicious
one. She's asking about the blacksmith fit black
scissors.
The scissors.
Yes.
Can you repeat the number? Because they are actually right now at their website.
Website?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, these are the Mitsutani 5.5 Pen Slim Stephen Moody's.
Okay.
Yeah.
People are loving it. Lots of hearts.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Applauses.
Yeah.
Hands up.
And if for whatever reason you've worked through it and you feel like, oh, you know what, like I feel like it's lacking a little bit of moisture. Hey, if you live in a humid environment and you have curly hair, you know that if you straighten your hair, blow your hair out, and there's moisture in the air, it's like your worst enemy. It's going to curl back. So, I mean, lightly mist it down again. Let's create a humid environment where curlier hair texture or coily hair texture can thrive. Rehydrate those curls, rehydrate that product, reactivate it, and continue to work it in. And now I feel like this is starting to look like a hat. Like, this is cool. So, and you could always go back maybe the next day or later that day. Even with like NIOXIN's dry cleanser, it's a really good refresher to just work that product in throughout the day. All right. in the meantime, I'm going to do this, but in the meantime, I want to just show you all. Here's the information for the Beauty Trend Vision Awards. You can enter. Entries started on January 15th, and they are going up until May 20th. This is going to be the different categories. So how do you enter? You post your entry on Instagram with your caption and add that category and hashtag, right? So whatever, you could see the options right there. Which are the entries that you feel like you can enter? And those are the hashtags. And then you can be a winner, which is amazing. And if you want more information, beautyandvisionawards.com. Okay. So any of you ladies out there, hairdressers, that you know of a client that has hair very similar to this, and you maybe didn't really know what to do, I really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, hope and wish that today's presentation that I was able to offer you gave you a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of motivation, and just the desire to start to work a little bit more confidently, not only with NIOXIN, but with coily hair texture, curly hair texture, hair that is different than maybe like your everyday client that you might work with. Like, step out of your comfort zone, man. Like, I step out of my comfort zone all the time. And you know what I find is that it's not different. It comes in a different shape, but it's just hair, right? Like I said, pasta made out of the same flour, just different shapes, right? Different varieties of it. Still pasta, and it's still delicious. You know, how do you want to prepare it? I really am a fan. I'm gonna give you a quick recap of how this was done. I'm just gonna step over here, lady. Whitney Houston's back. I started off by separating what is the top with a zigzag sectioning, and what that allowed me to do is give separation between the hair above, right, and what the hair below is. And you can see here, very simple, just like that, using either a tail comb or a regular comb, you can very easily create any type of section you want, really. But I chose a zigzag for the, erratical fall. I worked slight graduation below using horizontal sections, following the shape of the head, so it's going to be very round. It's going to sit higher in the front, slightly dropping towards the back. And it was a combination of graduation and towards the end a little bit more elevation for a layer. And that's going to create that silhouette, that little bit of a wedge. Above, I allowed this hair to drop. I took sections horizontal, parallel to the sections below. And what I did then was I cut these following the guide, but just cutting a little bit longer. So letting my fingers slide about a finger's width past my guideline. And I did that all the way to the parting, right? And what that does is it creates a little bit more of a disconnection, but it's such a subtle disconnection that there's no steps visible, especially with the hair texture. And I did that all the way around, and I elevated each time, okay? And what that creates is a combination of graduation below with light layering on top, but at the same time it creates space, and that space creates movement or room for the hair to move around. You can then apply bodifying cream, thickening gel, right, for this finer hair texture. Those are great products, and it's going to absorb it so well because it's lacking moisture. It's very fine, so it's very fragile. I then went ahead and worked the front very round, right? Very round. You don't have to. You can actually work whatever shape you prefer. I chose to work round just because I wanted to open up the face a little bit more. And set that aside. You can either dry it, or as we mentioned, you can use the different ways of setting hair with twisting, just separating it, diffusing it. And then once it was dry, I went ahead and did different refining techniques, such as just freehand cutting, or even with the trimmers or clippers if you prefer. And then just work that in. Applied a little bit more moisture towards the end, and give that hair a little bit more expansion. So, is it the only way to work with coily hair? No, it's just the way I chose to today, and I wanted to share with all of you. And our time is coming to an end. So I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you learned at least one thing today and made your time worthwhile. So on behalf of NIOXIN, on behalf of Wella Professionals, thank you so much. Don't forget about Beauty and Vision Awards, BA. Go ahead and enter, right? Go to beautyandvisionawards.com, more information, or send us a message. Signing off, my name is Emmanuel San Martin, also known as Manny, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.